And welcome back into a brand new episode of Tribal Council Chat. As always, we are your hosts. My name is Bruce Heller,
And my name's Brett Parnell.
and let's dive in. We have new Survivor, dude.
Yeah, it's been a while, one since we were on Tribal Council chat with just the two of us because I was sick a couple weeks ago. Then we did a massive fantasy draft, which was so much fun.
Oh yeah,
And then now we are back. It's been even longer since we have had a new season, back since Christmas.
it honestly felt like a short off season to me.
It it was a short off season by the calendar. It felt like a long off season because I've literally at one point or another been sick since the season 47 ended.
Fair enough.
But so that's been rough. But I mean, it was a pretty short off season. The off season lengths are not equal when it comes to Survivor because they'll finish now the odd numbered seasons just before they get into Christmas. And then the even numbered seasons start right after the Super Bowl, usually a couple 2 to 3 weeks after, in order to finish generally the week of Mother's Day, and then we have the whole summer off when CBS knows not that many people are watching TV, so there's no Survivor on the all of June, all of July, all of August, going
Yeah,
into
for
mid
sure.
September.
For sure. So you ready to dive into this premiere?
Yeah, absolutely ready to get into the premiere. Um, First of all, initial thoughts. This cast seems to be really fun.
Yeah, it's a really fun cast. I kind of like them showing a scene of a few people on Zoom, like
Yeah,
being
that
told
was
they'd
fun,
be on the show. That was a fun
especially
little
today
twist.
when that reaction is now basically videotaped for everybody, unlike years ago, or even probably 3 years ago, where they were just on the phone and we had no real idea where they were, what was going on. You could get that call in the middle of your workday or when you're out to dinner with family or in the middle of, oh, it could be a voicemail if you're like out at a movie theater or something.
Yeah, for sure. I also love the intro that we kind of get the like not completely, but we kind of get the old intro back of Jeff talking about the game. Then it like does the like super far zoom out all of a sudden with him. That was cool. Like at the very beginning.
Yeah, that was.
So
I like that.
I wish
Um,
he had done the classic like
it did remind me a lot of like, go ahead.
he didn't do the line he used to always do of the like 26 days, 18 people, one survivor, like that thing.
Can we blame him?
Yes, I want that back.
You know, if he said 26 days when the iconic line is 39 days, 18 people, one survivor, Twitter would blow up in negative criticism.
Half of Survivor Twitter is already throwing a fit about 26 days anyway. What difference does it make? Bring the
That's
iconic
fair.
line back. It's so cool.
Fair enough. I mean, I would like to see it back, but I know 100% why he didn't do it.
Yeah, I did see something on Twitter that made me think this week though. And like on the 26 days thing of like, yes, 39 is better because it's more content. But if they hadn't made such a big deal about telling us it would be 26 and just aired the show, I don't think a ton of people would notice.
Yeah, you're right. I never thought of that.
I never thought of that until this tweet. I saw that, but I'm like, you know what? It's accurate. Like it,
Yeah.
the show feels the same. It's probably just there's less content. It's probably we lose an episode probably or two.
I don't even think that. It's just that they're doing so much more. There's less camp downtime.
Yeah.
The whole episode that was over 3 days is now over 2 days.
Yeah. So, I mean, and losing a day each week is a lot in the long run, but over the course of a season, you really don't notice it. And I never realized
Yeah,
that until this
you
week.
don't.
So, again, I would prefer the 39, but I feel like the people that are just always complaining about 26, like, I'm over it at this point. I don't care anymore.
And how Jeff said, um, that will not be one of the votes, and we'll talk about the votes after because we have a brand new segment for this
Yeah.
season. At once we finish tribal council, that I think is going to be a lot of fun. I'll explain it when we get there. But considering Jeff said that that's one subject that just won't be up for votes with the
Yeah, I guess because they already have
status
their
of,
leases and their land
exactly,
agreement signed and everything.
it's not really worth debating at this point as much as it's entertaining for me to just see how many opinions Eliza and Russell have about it.
The fact that those two have agreed on something is wild to me. I did not think I'd ever see that day.
You're so right. I never even thought of that until you said that.
But like, and I get the frustration. I don't like the 26 either, but it's just not worth complaining about at this
Yeah,
point. Like we
you're right.
get it. You've made your point, and a lot of times it's the same people over and over again.
Yeah.
But I will move on. Who is your player of the week?
My player of the week in this episode, someone that I did not expect to be a very good player coming into the draft. I don't know if she's playing well for an opening or if she's actually going to really know the game, but I'm going to pick side this week.
I honestly think Say is playing way too hard too quickly.
Yeah, I would agree with you, but the core concept is player of the week, not favorite to win yet.
Yeah, and I guess she's the one that said Steph's name, and Steph went home.
So that's where I went with it. She said Steph's name, she got her idol. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
I,
as good
I
of a premier
I'm
as
gonna
you
be.
can get, but do I think that she's gonna go into the merge based on her pregame questionnaire and video more so than what I've seen in the camp and then how hard she's playing? Not really.
I was begrudgingly picking Say anyway, but you make some good points. She got the idol. She already unlocked it, so she doesn't lose her vote.
Yep.
Even she's playing so hard, and her trimates are already clocking how hard she's playing.
I think that since
I
41 and
probably would have.
42,
I
sorry, go ahead.
I would have voted her out at this tribal if the numbers were there, and they weren't
Yeah,
there.
they won't.
But I think she goes home probably next time they go to tribal.
Makes sense. Um, I was just about to say that I think that's one improvement that they did make with the kind of new Beware advantage is that unlike 41 and 42, where they had those sayings and it really required that if you found a Beware advantage, everybody had to find a Beware advantage. They have adjusted that twist in a way to make sure that control of your vote is still within your own hands. It's just once you pick it up, it's go time, get this idol,
Yeah, for sure.
as opposed to having to wonder, am I going to have no vote for like 4 episodes because somebody else on a beach put it back in the tree?
Andy.
Yeah. I was
My,
more thinking of um who was it on 41? Genie?
Jeannie,
Yeah.
that Ricard and Shane convinced her to put it back so they could
Yeah,
take it.
that's right.
Honestly, I kind of like the waiting aspect just because it kind of adds more risk to the beware.
Yeah.
And like
I didn't mind
41 didn't
watching.
know. 41 and 42 had the sayings and they filmed back to back. So 42 hadn't seen any of 41.
Yeah.
But I wonder if they had brought that back again for 43, if knowing you don't have a vote till all three of them are found would kind of add enough danger that maybe people pass it up and don't take it.
Yeah, that's true.
So like I get liking that like the players can access it themselves and have more control, but I also kind of like that when the beware had more risk, and it probably if people knew that risk, it would have made you think a bit more, makes it a more complex decision.
Yeah, I'd see that. I guess my thought more behind it was just in terms of when you actually count up the number of lost votes at the end of the season, because we know One thing about New Era Survivor, this is not the last time that somebody is going to have to lose their vote. And
Yeah,
more than ever in the last couple seasons, it tends to not even be a choice.
yeah, that's
You're
true.
just forced to play whatever possible advantage you get, and someone loses. So,
I also like how they did the Bewares in 44, where it's just in a very public birdcage in camp.
yeah, that was interesting.
And all of a sudden everyone notices, oh, hey, look, the birdcage is empty.
Yeah,
Bring that back. Now, that was the season they had production created fake idols, which I hate. That should not
yeah,
be a thing. But
that
the
should not be
birdcage
a
was an
thing.
awesome concept. Bring that back.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so moving into the marooning, we get a Survivor Amazon and Christie from Survivor Amazon reference. That was not on my bingo card.
Yeah, that certainly wasn't on mine either. What we don't hear about that season very often anymore. We don't hear about a lot of the first 10 seasons much anymore, besides maybe a Borneo, Australia, or All Stars reference here and there.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that definitely wasn't on, but I thought it was a great spot for it, especially for, is it Vince?
I didn't write it down.
I'm going to have to look up the names. Mitch, sorry.
We
We will
also
learn the
get
players' names over the first couple of weeks of seeing everybody. But I thought it was a perfect reference because Mitch is in that position where maybe if we weren't advancing as a society, he might have sat and watched and said, "This is entertaining television," but I couldn't do that because of my disability. But then in season 6, he was seeing someone who could. And then I love that too, that Jeff is just like, where were you all between season 6 and now? And he's like, I've been trying to get on this show ever since.
yeah, that was fantastic actually. But I love also we get another old Survivor reference of someone else referencing Cook Islands and
Yep,
Yule. And I just love that at this
Kevin.
marooning we're referencing old Survivor seasons that don't get talked about much. Like this is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin referenced Ewell and that he would like to play a game sort of like him. That was very interesting to see. Um, but yeah, I really loved seeing all these different references. And in addition to that, we also go a bit newer school. In addition to referencing Ewell, Kevin references David versus Goliath at the same time.
That's right, he does. I forgot about
And
that.
how he saw the David's tribe and really saw himself in it and thought there was no way they could succeed until Nick wins and Davey comes fourth. And I mean, fifth. You have Mike, Angelina, Allison in there who are Goliaths, but Christian is a huge player that season. Gabby's a huge player that season.
Yeah, for sure. And
That's a
so
season that we should do a rewatch of sometime
it
and talk
is.
about it in the off season. Such a good cast.
So at this point, Jeff gives us our tribe names. Purple is Logi, green is Vula, and orange is Siva. And we dive right into the reward challenge, which was a fun challenge.
This was a fun challenge, and we right away see everyone competing for the ability to get the camp items, which we'll get back to the challenge in a second. But this season, I noticed, and it's again throwback to old school Survivor. In addition to the pot and the machete and the flint, we see that the tribe that wins gets a boat.
Yeah,
When was the last time we saw a tribe get a boat?
I don't know. Can we? That should have been a reward challenge in Thailand.
If they didn't get it back, that boat might have floated all the way to Fiji by now.
Did they get it back?
I Did they not? I thought
I
they did.
don't remember, and
I
I'm
think they
not
did.
rewatching it the season just to find that out.
I can't rewatch the season. It's they only let Canadians get from Korong on now.
Oh, yeah, that's weird.
Plus whatever seasons I have on DVD. But
Yeah, so just buy every season's DVD, then you can watch every season.
yeah, pretty much that's what I have to do.
That won't bankrupt you at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Next collection after I get all 11 Taylor Swift albums. I'm currently at 3 for the audience who cares.
I have all of them on iTunes. I don't have all of them on CD.
Oh, nice. I got Red TV and Tortured Poets for Christmas, and then got a gift code for Christmas, so bought Folklore with that.
Nice.
But moving back onto the show, because this is not a Swifty podcast, it just happens to be hosted by two Swifties.
Yeah.
Charlie, come on our show.
So the way this challenge works is that two people from each tribe will crawl under this muddy net and retrieve a heavy chest and come back. And then they repeat that process until, with two different people going out, until there's three chests. And then they have to carry those over this weird little like table platform thing that has sandbags on it that they then have to lift the chest over the sandbags, then keep pushing until they get a key to unlock the chest that have beanbags in them, and they toss the beanbags up onto these tall, little, small platforms.
Every time we see this challenge where they have to toss bags onto a small platform, I'm always screaming at the TV, you hit the top one first. You will not knock it off that way. And most of the time, they always go for the bottom up and make it harder on themselves.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Thomas, we saw struggle a little bit with that part of the challenge at first, too.
Yeah.
But it was a fun challenge. Loggy ends up finishing first. And
That they do.
let me find it. Siva, yeah, they end up. So Siva and Vula are going to, are each picking one
Compete
person
head to
that will
head.
go try to get tribe supplies. And this is a replacement for Sweat versus Savvy.
Yeah. There's a new replacement here. And hey, didn't you notice Jake O'Kane showed back up on Survivor?
What do you mean?
Breaking a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get
That
to
poor
that in
guy.
a second.
The way he responded was awesome, though.
Yeah, it was. So like we say, Loggy wins. They have the camp supplies. Siva and Vula are going to compete. Where do you want to go first, Bruce? I guess since we brought it up, should we go to that separate competition and then we'll go back to Loggy for the first tribe interactions?
Sure.
All right. So we have a situation now where after the Loggy has won, like we said, two players, which Kyle and Kevin are going off to compete in a challenge which looked on another island, looks like one of the small islands that they use for challenges. And rather than doing something like Sweat versus Savvy, which is an opportunity for both tribes to win, here there's going to be a one winner and one loser.
Yeah, there is. And the way it works is they both are following this rope and like gathering supplies as they go. So the rope will first lead them to a machete. And so they're running, and at this point, Kevin has his machete. Kyle is still running around because Kyle didn't figure out the key is inside of a coconut at the end of one of the ropes.
This was edited so well because Kyle is just panicked into a sprint. Meanwhile, Kevin is playing this with his intelligence as opposed to sheer physical strength.
Yeah. And so Kevin finds his machete first and starts running to the next spot. And it's a pot that's hung way up on a tall bamboo. And they say, get it down by any means necessary. And he's struggling with that. And Kyle catches up. And Kyle ends up getting his pot first because he hacks at the bamboo and then just pulls it to the ground and breaks it to get the pot. Whereas Kevin eventually knocks it down with another bamboo piece, but he took a lot longer. And now the challenge takes them to using this pot to fill a glass jar with water with the key in it till the key floats to the top. And unfortunately for Kyle, he breaks the glass jar with his pot partway through.
Yeah, like I was saying, Kyle was just doing everything too quickly to the point that he was so rushed for water, he couldn't even focus on the fact that the jar is not plastic. You can't smash your metal pot right into it and expect to stay in the challenge.
But I love how he responds because he realizes, hey, I lost anyway. Might as well help Kevin so he's not out here forever.
Yeah, I
And he
like that
starts
as
using
well.
his pot to help fill Kevin's jar also, and I love that.
I love that too. I was kind of nervous he was going to break it by accident, but
What happens in that case? Kevin still wins, I assume.
yeah, I would assume Kevin still wins because he got further. If I were Kevin, I would just, I mean, it's up to production to deal with, but if I were Kevin, I would just pull my key out of the broken glass, pop it open, and I win.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. And then back now, let's go to Loggy to start our, might as well give our first tribes camp scene of the season to a tribe that's the first winner. Um, we start to see the players interacting, and really, this tribe seems to be the most game conscious. We've already got lots of alliances here, but let's start at the players' introductions.
Okay.
What are your thoughts of Loggy in the first few minutes?
I like Loggy. I noticed Thomas tells us he's afraid that he's the weak link because he's one
Yeah,
of the smaller slash like less physically fit people. I noticed the three guys bond really quickly, and that's something to note on that we'll talk about later in the episode. You and I texted about a little bit.
yeah,
And Thomas and Bianca bond really quickly. And
they do.
we see my favorite scene of the episode, and probably going to be my favorite scene of the season. We'll see. Happens
Yeah,
later with Loggy, where we see
happens
two
later.
other
We'll get
people
to that.
bond very quickly. But this is all we get from this first scene. This first Loggy scene is very Thomas centric.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised there. Like, it is very Thomas centric. Thomas tells everybody about who he is and how he got to the show and his life experience. Maybe it's just because of Twitter. There's a couple of younger people on this tribe. I was sure he was going to name drop Olivia Rodrigo here, and that did not happen.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, he's a background employee. He works with, I'm sure, a lot of massive people, but we don't want, I mean, smart by him, you don't want him to be name dropping big names that are people he works with only for people totally outside of that walk of life to think that he's some sort of millionaire.
Yeah, and he did mention somewhere. I only know this because like they post. It was one of their like cast posts before the season with a quote. He mentioned that he's met Lady Gaga.
Oh, wow. So,
So,
yeah.
but that wasn't on the show. That was just something they posted like with their cast release stuff and their meet these people things.
It'll be interesting to hear if that anything of his career comes up either later in the show or even off season, and we find out more details of exactly what Thomas does and who he works with. Because I'm sure it would be very interesting.
Yeah. So we moved to Siva, and what are your thoughts on this first Siva scene?
For Siva scene, this is definitely a good tribe that I think will do well. We'll see how everything comes together. At some point, we have my first round draft pick looking that she's a little bit of a target. I'm kind of hoping that that's the Genevieve edit that just slowly goes away if they win a couple of weeks. But what do you think about this tribe so far?
I didn't have a ton of notes. I noticed that Chrissy notes that her job as a fire lieutenant has taught her how to deal with different personalities, and I think that
Yeah,
will come up big.
that will. And obviously, if you're a fire lieutenant, in addition to that, you also have done a lot of physical training as well.
So we have a fire lieutenant here, and we have a fire captain on another tribe.
Yeah.
So if
Just
there's
on
any
that,
tribe that's fire related, Vula is doomed.
yeah. Ju- just on that topic of it's interesting, like just thinking of who is on Siva when we have a fire lieutenant and a stunt performer and a flight attendant. Like these are all jobs that require extreme physical testing.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
So they could be, even though we so far see Logie as the favorite, it wouldn't surprise me if they pick up and start winning some challenges.
Yeah, for sure.
I
And
mean,
so,
that obviously wouldn't surprise me. That's why I picked Charity and David. I kind of anticipated this happening. So we'll see if it plays out and goes through or not.
we move to Vula, and I noticed that Cedric, who I think is one of your picks,
Yes.
seems to be taking a bit of a leadership role early
Yep.
on in this first scene.
Which doesn't surprise me. Cedric has lots of.
Keep talking.
Sure.
I'm still here.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Cedric has lots of life experience. He's a surgeon in a hospital. Um, I did get a kick out of a comment that he made about what his kids say. I don't know if it was online or if it was part of the show. I can't remember, but
What do you say?
that people in his family asked him, "Why aren't you a brain surgeon or any sort of other important organ?" Because he's a surgeon for people who have rectal issues.
Nice.
So that was hilarious.
Uh, and this is where we get a quote from Say,
Yep.
where she says she's looking for a core four here, not camaraderie. Which
Which
the
is
whole
smart.
at this point the whole rest of your tribe is getting to know each other. So
Yeah, it's smart to say you're looking for a core four because I mean they keep giving us tribes of six, six, and six to make 18 castaways. So as long as CBS is going to do that, forming a group of four is the mathematical way to get to the merge. It's that simple. That being said, at the same time, it's also a little pushing it in terms of your gameplay and makes me wonder um is Say gonna be a Emily without a Hannah?
yeah,
Because
this
Emily
is
would have
too
been
soon to be thinking
gone.
this way.
Yeah, Emily would have been gone for playing this hard in episode one, other than Hannah wasn't quite ready to stop smoking cigarettes yet.
Yeah, Emily survived being first boot solely because Hannah quit.
Right.
And Say does survive being first boot because Stephanie just completely botched a puzzle. But I think she's probably next.
Yeah. She does have that immunity idol, so you never know, but I
At
also
least,
wonder is she the type who would play it, or would she just hold on to it for the sake of trying to use it at five? Because if you're that aggressive, that's probably the way you would lean towards having an idol. is I'm going to use this at final five and then win first fire and win the game.
Yeah, but you can't use it at 5 if you go home with it.
I know. That's my
So,
point. I'm
trying to
saying
hold
she
it
could
till
go.
5 at this point, I just don't think is a good
I
strategy.
don't either, but I'm saying she could easily go home regardless of having it.
Yeah. And if I were on that tribe, I would want her out next. I might have been one of the people that wanted to vote for her this time, honestly.
Yeah,
But at the same time, maybe not, because I've always been pre-merge. You vote to keep the tribe strong and stay away from tribal. I'm still of that older
agreed.
thought process, and
And
Stephanie completely botched that puzzle.
yeah,
So,
and back to that comment about needing to find a clue foil. Find that interesting in this exact position because we see say both work with Millie and Stephanie, but also work with the three guys.
yeah,
And if somebody doesn't cross the gender line, I think it was Michelle and Julia who said this way back in 32 for a season like this. Which guy are we going to get to flip? Because if someone doesn't cross that gender barrier, it's a tie and we're going to rocks on day one. And
mm-hmm.
it's quick with how aggressive Say was playing. We all knew it was going to be her.
Yeah. And the other two women end up catching on to her and wanting her gone.
And
So,
therefore, no matter what happens in this tribe, whether it's Millie or whether it's Say, I think we all drafted well because the next player out of this tribe has a great chance to be sitting on the audience team.
yeah,
Sorry,
for
guys.
sure. So send them to tribal. Keep Logi and Siva out of it. I was calling them Liga for half the episode till I realized I had the I and the A backwards. But keep
Not a
Logi
problem.
and Siva away from tribal because I love both. I love all three of these tribes. This is a great cast, but
Yeah, same.
I have my first round pick and winner pick is on Logi. Eva, who was one of my second person I wanted, who went first overall in our draft, she's on Logi.
Yep.
That's just such a fun tribe. Joe, who I picked, is on there.
My winner pick and first round pick is on Siva. Sorry, my first round pick's on Siva, but my winner pick and who I would have taken first overall if I had the first pick that your mom stole on me is on Loggies. So,
My third round pick is on Siva with Camilla.
yeah,
So moving on, we did the supplies challenge already. So we're back to Vula now. And
we
Mary
are.
got the fire started
Yeah,
without a flint.
I totally that didn't
Wait,
cross my mind. That's true.
no,
No,
wait.
they have a Flint. Kevin got the Flint.
Yeah, sorry. I said that now. That wasn't in
It
my notes.
it's Siva who doesn't have a Flint
Yeah,
until
I
the
got
immunity
Kyle and
challenge.
Kevin confused just now. I should have just stuck to my notes that Mary started the fire.
That's all right.
But Billy Joel said that we didn't start the fire. So I'm very confused now. Is there a fire or not?
I'm gonna have something funny to tell you about that after.
Oh boy. And we also see that Kevin already has multiple alliances and people wanting to work with him. So he's off to a really good start.
Yeah. Um Definitely Kevin's off to a good start, especially having a medical injury in the first challenge. And he now seems to be fitting into his tribe well, and at least in the standards of the tribe who is seems to be on the bottom of this game so far, he's not going anywhere.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we then switch to Siva, where we see Mitch and David are off on their own. They're off in the woods, and they find this black string tied around branch, and they untie it to reveal the letter S on a branch. And at this point, I am very confused.
Yeah, I was confused too until the beware advantages come out, but I mean, at the same time, you at least know, okay, it's the premier. There's a beware advantage somewhere.
Yeah,
And this has to do with it because letters and symbols are not painted onto trees in the middle of nowhere
Wait,
in
trees
Fiji.
don't naturally come with pink dolphins on them?
No.
Oh, I thought
And
they did.
and the indigenous people that used to um write stories on rocks back in the day don't have those bright colors either.
Fair enough. There aren't any like neon pink
No.
cave paintings in Egypt. So,
Nor are there in Fiji.
close enough. Egypt, Fiji, they're both on planet Earth. And so at this point, Kyle comes back to Siva and tells what happened and apologizes for not getting supplies. And the tribe seems cool with it. They forgive him.
Yeah.
David even says Kyle seems really genuine and someone he wants to work with. I think this went as well as it could for Kyle.
Yeah, it definitely went as well as it could for Kyle. I note that Kyle told them he lost and was honest about that. He didn't tell them he broke the challenge. That might have went over a little bit differently if they saw just how badly he played it. But
I don't know that he played it that badly. He just broke the one thing.
I
If he doesn't
I
do that,
think
he might have still won, honestly.
I think from the second it started, I knew Kevin was winning because Kyle was just ripping that rope up like a complete maniac and not focusing on what he was doing at all.
But see, Kyle left the pots first. Kyle got his pot off the bamboo a lot quicker. So
Yeah,
I don't know that he played it horribly the whole time. He just made one costly mistake, I would say.
fair enough.
But yeah,
Um, but no, it does go over well for him. I think that as we get, I mean, I don't want to say as we get into the new era, we've been in the new era for like 4 years now at this point. But as the new era develops, I think we're going to see less of that, like automatically making you a target if you don't get it, because not everybody gets it. The whole concept now is, at least for the last 2 seasons, one tribe one tribe wins the opening challenge and they have those supplies. Then the two tribes that do not win the opening challenge have a second chance, and then one tribe will be left without.
yeah.
So it's not like, say, somebody having a chance and all they have to do is finish and they don't get it, even though Kyle technically did not finish.
It's not like 46 where we had Sweat versus Savvy and you had to do a certain task and someone that shall go unnamed because one of our friends loves this person, but was genuinely just not a good player, quit on Sweat versus Savvy because he thought they wouldn't have enough time.
Are you referring to Jelinski?
I am.
Okay, I was like, I think I know who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I don't remember what the task was, but he just decided to quit in the middle of it
Fair.
because he thought he didn't have enough time. But like with Sweat versus Savvy, both of the two tribes could have earned it. We don't have that here. And that's what an interesting addition to me.
Yeah.
Because for years
And
we did do Sweat versus Savvy, and it was both teams there was a few different iterations. There was each tribe had to do a different one. They could have chosen the same one if they wanted.
yep,
It was at camp, it was at a different location, but both tribes could have won it, and we don't have that here. And I think
we
that's
don't.
really interesting that one tribe has to go home empty-handed.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw the same thing in 47, which I really liked then as well.
Yeah. And so next with Siva is the confusing part to me, where David tells the whole tribe that what he found on that branch, that letter S, and he has everyone looking for letters and symbols together. Why are you
Yeah.
advertising this?
Um,
I would keep that to myself.
that's fair. I think you make a good point to say you keep it to yourself. At the same time, it's also, if you tell the entire tribe that, you can all go deal with the beware advantage, as opposed to have whoever is gone from camp just be an instant target. It
Yeah.
almost becomes a team building exercise, as opposed to, hey, he's been gone for one more minute than it takes to go to the bathroom or to get water, he's voted off.
Yeah. There's also so many letters and symbols, and this was
Yeah,
before we knew what they were for, so I was very confused. And so we go back to Loggy, and this is kind of this is the scene I was referencing earlier.
yeah.
It's by far my
This
favorite
was
scene in the episode
amazing.
where we have a confessional of Eva talking about the strengths and weaknesses of playing this game with autism, and her saying that she wants to. Well, this isn't that scene. This is them hinting, and then the big scene is later. But let's just break into it now. And we see her and Joe bond a little bit here, but what this leads to is Eva and Joe. Well, do you want to do it now, or do you just want to get to it when we go back to Loggy?
What do you mean?
Because we have like Eva talking about her autism now, but we have the scene of her and Joe talking about it later on. Do we want to just do the whole thing now, or
Yeah,
okay? So what this leads to is
it all
Eva
ties
tells us,
together as the part of this episode that everyone's gonna remember.
yeah, and Eva she talks about strengths and weaknesses playing with autism. We see her bonding with Joe a little bit, but later in the episode we come back to Loggy and she says that it's this goal of hers to be able to tell someone about this and trust them that much. And she tells Joe, and they bond about it a lot walking through the woods. It's really cool. And we see a confessional of Joe. Let me find his quote. Where Joe tells us that he is honored that Eva trusted him with this and that he's got her back no matter what and he won't let her down even if it hurts his own game. And that's just so cool.
Yeah, that was a great scene. Obviously, this is day one. We'll see if Joe is that concerned about anyone else in the game on day 23, let's say. But no, I really love seeing this message, seeing this bonding moment between the two of them, and they're definitely a pair that could go very far.
Agreed. And I hope they do.
Yeah, same.
And so after that, we go back to Vula, where Stephanie is already pegging and identifying how hard Say is playing. This was the second time I wrote in my notes, I think this makes Say a target.
Yeah,
Because they're noticing how long she's gone from camp, I think. And this is where Say and Justin find the Beware advantage, and we learn that the idol is hidden inside of a puzzle lock, which is new.
yeah. This was very interesting um, to see them actually working out the puzzle. I really liked how they had to figure out actually how to do it because I heard when it was going on, there were some ideas at least floating around my house on how it could work, and they were just too easy. So the fact that they had to think of actually going to each letter in the word of each symbol to match the color was so smart.
Yeah, that was genius. It would have taken me a while to find that out. And so we go back to Loggy already. And we talked about the big part of this scene from Loggy, but also with this trip to Loggy, we see Star is idol hunting. And I wrote down it's really risky to idol hunt this early in the game. And then right as I wrote that down, her tribe notices how long she's been gone.
Yeah,
Like all of
that's
them notice it at once.
certainly, and it might not be all at once. That could easily be edited in, but it certainly puts a risk on Star. I know when we did our draft, that's where I left her for the audience team. Is if you watch Star's RHAP video, one of the things that I wrote down is just seems too energetic and out of control.
Yeah.
I could easily see her being a player who goes for every single advantage the second that it's thrown towards her, and that's never a good thing.
Yeah, for
is
sure.
not being at least, even if you do go for every advantage, going for a calculated advantage is very different than just whatever Jeff says I can have, I want it.
Yeah. And so at this point, we go back to Siva. We get a great quote from David where he says he feels like he's a regular guy trapped in a jock's body. And that just made me laugh. That's the only
Yeah,
reason I wrote it down.
that was funny. David is on my team, so hopefully he goes very far.
And
And
then,
you guys weren't impressed with that pick that I took in the second round, but so far I really like David.
yeah, immediately followed by a funny Kyle quote where he says, she likes her steak medium well done. That's the sign of a psychopath. She needs to go. That was
Yeah,
funny.
I had to say I laughed at this, but when I heard that was Charity who he was talking about, right?
Yeah.
When I heard that Charity eats her steak medium well done, my mind set into why did I pick you in the first round? I'm kind of with Kyle on that one.
I don't mind medium well, honestly.
Anything over medium rare is burnt.
No, I'll go
Yeah,
medium. I usually go either medium or medium well. I won't go full well done, but
I have gone to fancy steakhouses in Europe and ordered it blue. Maybe
yeah,
the
no.
audience thinks I'm a psychopath now.
No, most of the audience is probably with you. A lot of people like rare and medium rare. I usually go medium, medium well. I'm the oddball here.
Fair.
Now I want steak. We get a scene of Kyle and Camilla bonding, and we get a scene of Camilla trying to cast suspicion on Charity. And she forms an
We
alliance
do.
with Kyle and Chrissy and David, a four-person alliance centered on their mistrust of Charity. I think she's in trouble if they go to tribal, depending on the
I
challenge.
think she is if they go to tribal right away, but if it lasts a couple weeks, I think things can change.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's why I said I could still see Charity being in that like Genevieve spot.
Yeah,
Genevieve looked to be in trouble early on in the season, and then it all sorted itself out.
I no. Genevieve was still a target pretty much the whole season. She just kept evading it.
Well, yeah,
There was a
but
threat of her going home every time she didn't have immunity.
yeah, you're right. But I mean, she still went very deep in the game and one challenge differently. She's probably a 47 winner.
Yeah, true.
Um, as for this spot, you are right. I had to laugh at a comment you made during the draft because when you said, um, I didn't pick Camilla and I usually always pick the players that were from Canada.
Because you
Um,
do.
because I do, that's correct. Right, once I saw this, I'm like, and that is why I decided not to do it this time. I just had a feeling that they might not work together.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't want like civil war within your own team.
No,
I want civil war within your team.
of course you do. I think I think we should both just want civil war within Kevin's team. He's a
I want
two-time champ.
dismay for every team that's not my own, and I feel like I'm gonna get it with the audience's team because I don't feel great about any of the audience's three players.
No, I don't either.
Good, we're a good team of drafters though. That like the three players I don't feel comfortable about are the three that went undrafted.
Yeah, I agree.
So here we go back to Vula one more time before the challenge. It is immunity
I
and
should just
reward.
add before we do that,
Yeah,
the other reason though with this tribe, even though it is four, that I'm not as worried about my first round pick in Charity is that in the promos before the season, CBS seems to have given her quite a bit of airtime.
yeah,
So I don't think she would just go nowhere if otherwise they could have found somebody else to tell us about.
fair enough. I wasn't in the fandom yet though, but I'm guessing before Redemption Island, Hans probably got a lot of the airtime on promotions also though.
Did he ever? It was even from the reunion of Token Teens. It was like Nick season Survivor's biggest villain.
You got a break from him for Nicaragua, though.
We did. And we got a break. We got a break from him from South Pacific to the present day, never to happen again.
Well, Australian Survivor.
I've never seen that season.
I haven't either, but he did come back on it.
I'll watch Parvati and Tony and Sui on Australian Survivor this summer.
Sandra was good on it.
Yes, she was.
I stopped watching that season partway through because life got busy, but Sandra was really fun.
Yeah, I liked it.
But my point is, like, you can't always go off of the promotions because with Redemption Island, Hans probably got a ton of airtime in the preseason promotions, and he
That's
was
fair, but he's a attorney.
well, yes, but that doesn't help my narrative. But you make a good point. That is not the same scenario, even though I would like for it to be, because that helps my argument. But
You need everybody's first round picks that isn't Thomas to get voted out.
Thomas is winning.
I
This
think
is,
that there's a good shot.
I
I really
haven't
like
looked
him
at the
so
chart,
far.
but I would guess he got the most confessionals this episode.
Nope,
Is he close?
he's close. Say broke Tony Vlachos's record
You
for the
know what?
most
I did
confessionals
know
in
it
a
was Say
premiere.
because I saw on Twitter, and I haven't looked at the chart, so I don't know the number. But I saw on Twitter that Say in the premiere got more confessionals than Natalie White.
Yeah, in the whole season. And
Because
more
throughout all
confessional.
of her winning season, by the way, Natalie White got 19 confessionals.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Just that fact,
See,
mind
that's why you
boggles me
thought it
every
would
time.
be wrong, but that's why I picked that season to be re-edited.
Yeah.
Um, but no, Say actually got more confessionals in the premiere than Tony did in Cagayan in the
Good
premiere.
Lord.
So that's just nuts.
Speaking of Say, we go back to Vula, and Say shows Kevin what she found. And this is where we see that Kevin trusts her, but he's scared to know that she has it also. And she figures it out all of a sudden. She's struggling to figure out the puzzle lock, and all of a sudden, she realizes the colors correspond to the symbols, and the
Yeah.
number is that letter
In the word of the symbol.
in the word. So like there was a pink dolphin somewhere. So like a pink 2 would be the letter O.
Exactly.
And so she runs around camp looking for the symbols, finding them. She gets the lock undone. She has her idol now. And so
Will
we
she
go
use
to
it? We will see.
yeah, I still think she's going home soon, which probably means she goes home with it, but we'll see. We go to the challenge. It is immunity and reward. First place gets a massive toolkit. Second place gets a smaller toolkit. Third place gets tribal.
Yep.
And the way this works is they have to climb up and over a net, crawl under another net, untie a bunch of nets to release a club, and then smash this mask to get a key and unlock the handles. And I'm just now realizing earlier, I described a part of the earlier challenge with the chests where they had to lead them over this little like table thing. That's in this challenge.
Yeah.
My
I was
bad, guys.
thinking that, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
And Kevin, if you're listening, I'm sure you've already texted me earlier to correct me when I said it, but I've already recognized my mistake. So if you haven't texted me to correct me, you don't need to, even though I'm sure you will. But they unlock these handles and they push these heavy crates of puzzle pieces along this path on a table. They maneuver it up, and I think there's a hill in there. They have to lift it over these sandbags, and then they carry it up a ladder to a platform where they then complete a puzzle. This is a lot.
Yeah, this was a lot. Very physically demanding challenge like we would expect for a premiere episode. Lots of endurance and weight, but then the massive puzzle at the end, and we get a comeback.
We do. And Logie comes back and wins again. With
No.
Suga in second and Vula in third.
Logie is winning pretty much the whole time.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
Siva who gets a comeback, passing Vula on the puzzle, where it's Charity who outplays Stephanie.
Yeah. This is the puzzle we talked about that Stephanie really struggles on, and the reason she gets sent home.
Yeah.
And so leaving the challenge, I wrote, I bet Say goes home. And then I immediately realized that probably wasn't happening because we get to Vula and immediately Stephanie is getting heat from everyone else. Not like told to her, but everyone is talking about Stephanie panicking at the puzzle and that she needs to go. As soon as I finished writing down my prediction that Say would go. But Mary and Stephanie want Say out, and they're trying to get Justin. Justin is doing a great job of riding the middle here. And they pitch voting Say out to Kevin also, who's also struggling to juggle being in the middle. And we reach this point where Kevin and Justin are talking and they figure out that they get to make the decision for who goes home here and that
Yeah.
they are in the power position.
That they are. And it turns out that we right away as we get into tribal actually see I think it was more of a unanimous decision than we thought that everybody knew because we see a shot in the dark played.
We do see a shot in the dark played at tribal. And again, shot in the dark proves once again to be useless.
Yep, as usual.
This is the eighth season it's been a part of, and I think it's worked once.
Shout out to Caleb.
I think it worked another time when the person didn't receive votes, but
That's
still,
right.
it's been used multiple times a season for 7 full seasons, and now in the first episode of the eighth one. And it's worked one, maybe two times. I want this to be one of the votes of should we keep shot in the dark in the game because I want it to go away because it doesn't serve a purpose.
Yeah, that's
It's so
interesting.
useless.
It served the purpose in 47. It got rice.
Well, it did, but like you get my point though. Like shot in the dark, it gets
Oh,
treated as this thing that
I
people are so
100%
scared
get
of, and
your point
it's
because
useless.
I 100% get your point, and this season was filmed right after season 47, like a mere days after it ended. But it brings me back to the point that I made it back when we were talking about 47 is it's so useless that I think Shot in the Dark now is essentially a negotiating tool, and therefore I don't think we'll see it in 49.
We might just because it's like knowledge is power. It adds that extra thread of oh, we have to plan around this.
We could see it, but it wouldn't surprise me if production, once Jeff accepted that offer, realized how bad it was.
Yeah, I
I
do
was
love that
I know I
Rachel.
sat there when the tribe negotiated that deal and said Jeff has no idea what he just did. He killed one of his own twists.
I do love that Rachel was able to like not have to give up anything in that because she had already used her shot in the dark. By the way,
Yeah. And she doesn't give up anything but goes on to get $1 million.
she did have to give up in like one of the first few episodes the rice she snuck into her pocket, but
That was great.
should have been allowed to keep that in my opinion. But oh well.
Absolutely. Boston Rob kept his Brazil nuts in All Stars.
Nice. I forgot
It,
about the Brazil
it
nuts.
wouldn't be a tribal council chat episode if you didn't give me an opportunity to make an All Stars reference that I didn't take. So there you
Yeah,
go.
we haven't been making those references as often as we used to. My imaginary All Stars jar hasn't gotten as much fake money put into it as it used to. But
All right, so ready to get into tribal?
yeah, I really don't have I was watching the pre-vote chatter. I don't have a ton of notes from that. So what stuck out to you?
I have one pre-vote thing. Just let me look up a note quickly that I have because I felt so bad for Jeff here.
Oh no.
Um, you had this whole tribe that has already lost. And what do we get from Say and from Stephanie and from some other people debating who's what star sign or something? I was this was my note. You want to hear my note here?
Yes,
Do we have a whole tribe of Kendra McQuarrie?
I hope. I like Kendra, but I hope not. We don't
I
need.
really like Kendra too, but yes, please, I don't need to see that from the whole tribe.
And it wasn't just Kendra. It was Kendra and Kelly, and I think there was a third
Oh, so
person
we've
that were.
we've had a whole tribe who did this before. Great.
We don't need the astrology. Okay,
No,
I can miss that.
I mean, hey, whatever floats your boat, but when all of tribal becomes we're voting off somebody because of their astrological sign, then this is not Survivor anymore. I'm sure there's some late night talk show for you
Mm.
or someone's podcast that's into that kind of stuff. It's not for me.
Now that you said it, some channel or streaming service is going to make a brand new reality competition show centered around star signs,
I'm sure they will. Kendra can be the host.
and I will not be watching. But Stephanie plays her shot in the dark here, and my
Yep.
question was why. But then when the votes started, she gets not safe, but the votes come in, and I think she must have realized that Justin and Kevin weren't with them.
Yeah. Which is smart. I'm sure that it almost seemed to be one of those votes that everybody knew what was going on. And I think that's why the tribal council discussion devolved in the way that it did. And when that happens, playing shot in the dark is just the obvious thing to do. And unfortunately for Stephanie, and unfortunately for my dad's team, it didn't work.
Yep, and once again, Shot in the Dark goes the way of star signs and the Chicago Blackhawks the past couple of seasons, and just not super helpful at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And yes, I did just sneak a little dig in at a hockey team I don't like, but oh well. Uh, so Steph goes home, and by the way, the snuffer for this season looks like a turtle shell.
Oh, I totally missed that.
So overall, this was a fun episode. Great premiere. Gonna be a really fun season. I feel really good about my winner pick. I feel good about my team. I'm concerned with one of my picks and one of your picks going head to head with each other.
Yeah.
I don't I want my picks staying out of any of the playing hard yet so far. Speaking of, we missed this with Loggy. Thomas is in a guys alliance, the three guys.
Yep.
And nobody seems more surprised about that than him.
Yeah.
It's fantastically funny. The three guys bond really well.
And
And
all from Greater LA and call themselves the California Girls Alliance.
it's so funny. I love it so much. It's even funnier if one of the artists Thomas has worked with is Katy Perry, by the way.
Yeah,
She has a song called California Girls.
that would be funny.
But also I'm not worried about that three. They seem really tight, but you kind of seem to be them trying to bring in a fourth, and the other two want it to be Eva, and Thomas wants it to be Bianca.
Yeah, that I don't makes me think this alliance will not last long.
I think they can figure it out. I don't know how, but I'm not worried about them yet. I need to see them actually have a disagreement over this first. But do you want to launch into our new voting segment you talked about?
Yeah, so this is what we're going to call focused on Survivor 50 in the hands of the fans. We're gonna call this a either campaign or debate session. So we will go through whatever questions they put to the fans week by week. I have the ballot up right now because I have not voted yet. I had to vote in a Ontario provincial election yesterday. That was enough voting for one day.
I voted on my phone while I was watching the premiere.
That's very smart. um, but what we are going to do is we're going to go through each question, and if Bruce and I agree on it, we are going to take a minute, no more, and campaign for that vote. And if we disagree on it, we'll each take about 30 to 45 seconds each and discuss try to promote to the audience why you should vote for our side and not for another one. So let's get it started with question one, and we're going to start with the tribe colors. Bruce, you said you voted. Where did your vote go?
I don't remember what all the options were. I voted for, I think, option B because it had like a pinkish purple option in it.
Yes, I do see that.
And that's the reason I voted for that one, is because of that color. It's more purple than
Interesting.
pink, but
So I went with option A here, and that is a blue color, a red color, and a green color. And I said 50 is in the hands of the fans. It's going to be the first returning player season. This is a throwback to the tribe swap of Winners at War.
fair enough. That's fair. I like that.
All right. So we gave our two reasons. Not a huge amount of debate on that one, but hey, it's really just down to an opinion.
I think we're going to agree on all three of these first ones, is my guess.
Let's see. Camp life. Should the tribe start with rice or not?
I put yes.
And any reason?
Not really. They did it for 40 seasons. I don't really see a problem with it.
That's fair. I would say yes as well. I'm inclined to, but having heard Michelle on Instagram, they did not for 40 seasons. There was no rice in Korong.
Huh.
I don't
There's
know if
probably
it's.
some here and there that there weren't, but generally they got it.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't the norm to not have it like it is now.
All right. Moving to the next vote. Final four fire making. Should we have it or should we lose it?
What's interesting is I can tell Probst worded these questions because the option for yes put yes because it gives the players more control over their game, which has always been his argument that a vote at Final Four, if you have a giant threat like a Jesse, for example, they're basically dead. Whereas the vote for no just said no, let them vote someone out like the older seasons. I felt like they were wanting me to vote in favor of it, but I didn't. I voted for a vote, and I feel like this vote overall in the fan base, I feel like this is going to be like a 98-2 vote percentage wise.
Yeah, I'd agree. Um, so yeah, we definitely agree on this one as well. My thought is, I know that that's how they tried to explain it with, say, Jesse. Is my only thing is all that does is that just happens at 5. Who cares?
Unless the person has an idol at 5.
Yeah, which therefore then allows you to only have to get to 6, like the first vote of the finale, until you just vote free all the way through. And we were giving out idols at 5 in David versus Goliath, in Edge of Extinction, in Natalie didn't have one in Winners at War?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. You're right.
If one gets hidden, if one gets played before they're dead, it gets re-hidden. That's always how it is. So if one gets played at 6, they'll re-hide it for 5 because idols aren't dead yet.
You're right.
I
So
think that
yeah,
would still happen now, probably.
I
But
would agree. And finally, are we going to keep the reunion in Fiji or do it live in Los Angeles? I have
I
a
voted
feeling
to do
on
the
this
old
one.
reunion.
You voted for the old reunion. Can I make a little side comment before I say how I voted, although it's
Yeah.
pretty obvious?
Yes.
I saw this. It said, keep it in Fiji or live in LA. I screamed at the computer. I want option three. This should be live in New York, like Amazon, like Marquesas, like All Stars.
You just
That,
wanted in New York because that's easier for you to get to.
of course. And also just because I love New York City, California is like my least favorite place in North America.
That's totally fair, honestly. I feel bad for the people of California that their state was on fire. I don't know if it still is or
I
not,
have no clue.
but
But New York is the entertainment capital of the United States, has the best public transit, has hotels. California has very few of that. They
LA
should do
has
so.
hotels, I'm guessing. Everywhere has
Oh, it does
hotels.
have hotels, but not to the same level. I'm like, I think they should be doing something for this reunion. If we could get good weather, and I know they tried to do it big for the Amazon and it downpoured and they had to move them into Letterman's studio in the middle of the afternoon. But if they could do it
I
with good
hadn't heard that
weather,
story.
yeah, I'm like, where the TKTS booth is, do shut it down, do the reunion right in the middle of Times Square.
That would be
But
fun.
either way, I digress. I compromise my votes for live in LA. It is what it is. It's easier for production to do it in the home city. But yeah, if it was in New York City and it was a Central Park reunion or a Times Square reunion, I'd be on an overnight bus and I'd be there.
But we both voted for death to the after show.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, no, we voted for death to the Fiji after show.
well, no, but they only started calling it the after show when they did this. They haven't called it a
Oh,
reunion
I
since they've been doing this.
fair. I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah, and so and also the players just don't like, especially the finalists. Their minds aren't clear enough for you to be asking them retrospective game questions yet. The finalists, especially the losing finalists, are probably still in game mode. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
these questions are better asked after the season is aired, and especially when they've seen the episodes and seen everything, than asking them in the moment the second it ends.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we've seen that countless times, like in 46. All due credit to Kenzie. She played an amazing game, but Charlie was clearly not emotionally ready to deal with that yet.
Yeah, no, and nor should he be expected to.
Exactly. You just finished your having your first meal. I'm sure that champagne hits you a lot harder than it does to most people drinking a glass of wine because you haven't had food for 26 days.
Yeah, and the reunion is a much better choice than the after show, and I'm excited that that's a possibility of coming back,
Yeah, same.
even if
Either
it's
way,
just for one season.
I am gonna fill out this ballot now because I haven't done it. I know, I think at least it's my intention that I'm gonna think about these questions every week and keep the ballot until we go on air.
Okay, I can do that,
If you want to,
but I'm curious how much of this season they're going to put up to the fan vote, though. Like, is it going to be different questions every week?
that's what I've gathered.
Also, it in the hands of the fans. That's the name of the voting process, right? That's not the name of the season.
We have not had confirmation whether that's the name of the season or not, but
That in the hands of the fans logo cannot be the logo for the season. I
yeah,
refuse to believe
I'd
that.
imagine the logo is probably not the same. I don't know if that's going to be the theme or not.
Yeah, they have a Survivor 50 in the hands of the fans logo on the website, and I refuse to believe that's the official season logo because it just is not it's not as interesting or colorful or up to the quality of a lot of the season logos.
Yeah.
So, okay, are we ready to dive into a line blindside first boot?
Do you have one? I'll have one in just a second. I have a theme.
I can think of one as I'm going, as I've done before. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna
go ahead.
go. I have a theme now, and so I'm going to give you Thomas, Joe, and Camilla.
Sure. Okay. What's the
So just
theme?
just my draft team, basically.
Oh, nice. I'm going to align with Thomas. I'm gonna blindside Camilla, and I'm gonna first boot Joe.
Aw, you made Eva sad.
So Eva.
I am also going to align with Thomas. He seems really
I
easy to
just
get
get the
along with.
sense
He
that
seems
yeah,
open
go
to
ahead.
ideas. He seems agreeable.
Yeah.
And he seems like he's a really smart guy. I think the two of us could go really far together. I'm going to keep not first boot Joe because he's a large guy. He seems strong. He's a fire captain. He's going to help me stay away from tribal pre-merge. But
That
I'm
I
going to
thought of that,
blindside
but
him
I
merge
just thought
boot.
Joe would be a huge threat with both his strength, but also his social skills that he clearly showed with Eva. So that's why I first booted him.
Yeah, and that's why I'm either merge booting him or first post merge boot, where
Nice.
he can't go on an individual immunity run, but he's going to help me stay away from tribal pre merge, which leaves me to first boot Camilla by default.
Nice. All right. So that leads me to also go off of my one thing about my fantasy team. I am going to, in honor of charity, my first round pick, give you the names of 3 flight attendants
Oh boy.
that have played this game. So you have to align blindside first boot between, obviously, you can't do a flight attendant category without Teresa Cooper, Survivor Africa.
Of course.
A player that you had a lot of confidence last season in, Tiana
Oh,
from Survivor 47, and a player that's been on this podcast, Todd Herzog from Survivor China, a winner.
I'm still disappointed in Tiana, by the way, because if she had actually stuck to the reasons I picked her, I think she could have gone far. She just happened to completely contradict those
Mm,
reasons in the second episode. So, still
fair.
kind of disappointing because I believe the reasons I picked her were strong. She just let me down.
Yeah.
Still love her though. She was a fun character. I have to align with T-Bird. She's delightful. I love Todd. We've had Todd on the show. I texted with him before. Ordered 3 of his pops. He's too dangerous to not first boot. He has to go,
Fair.
or else he's winning. Which leads me to blindside Tiana.
Nice. I am going to completely agree with you on that 3, pretty much for the exact same reasons. T-Bird would be a great ally. She really knows the game. She's up to date on the game, even though she played on season 3, doing talking with T-Bird on our app. I'll blindside Tiana and vote out Todd just because Todd is, like you said, going to win the game if he gets anywhere close to the end.
Yeah, for sure. All right, this was a fun episode.
This was a fun episode. We are back doing live Survivor every week, except for 1 week when Kevin is going to be here because I'll be on vacation, but we'll let you know when that comes. And can't wait till episode 2 in just at this point, 4 days.
Yeah. And
Grab
so
your
with that,
torches and head back to camp.
yeah, bye